Okay, welcome to Yeshiva Daf. Shir Spatzol Nishpas Am Yakushom Rabbas Yitzchok. We're holding Basra Daf Peites. We're starting in the third line from the top. The Gemara says, Mokom Shenogu Lomud Bagaso. So the Mishnah said that if you measure with a bigger weight, you should not use a smaller weight, and vice versa. So says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan. How do we know that you do not do mechika? Mechika means that you fill up the weight, or you fill whatever you're weighing, and you fill it up to the top, but you don't overflow it. So you don't do mechika in place, you do the gedosha. You also don't fill up overflow if it's placed in mechika. Every time somebody loses from it. It says Efer Shleim. So Efer Shleim means it's supposed to be exact. He says, you know what? Don't worry, I'm not going to cheat you. I'm going to go and instead of overflow it, I'm going to make it straight, fill it up to the top. And I'm going to give you, and we're not going to overflow it, and we'll give you less money. Or the opposite. I will overflow the amount at a place where usually you straight it up. How do you know that we're not going to listen to him even though he wants to add more money? You have to, it's not only for Shleim, it's with tzedek. So the way the Rashbam explains it is that tzedek is, if you're going to start playing games, someone's going to come to cheat. There'll be cheating over here. So therefore we said, don't do that. Very similar idea. What was me'aynim mechrim? The Mishnah said that when you have a scale, you have to allow the scale to tilt more for the person. Or if you want to do ayin b'ayin, you do the same thing, then you add him a little bit more in the value. So how do you know that in a place where they do a chol, you don't do it in the same weight? In the place you don't do a chol, you don't do the opposite. Talmud learned a very similar idea, Even Shleim. So again, Even Shleim. How do you know in a place that he said, you know what? I will do hachra. I'll add him more, and I won't give him the extra money for the sale. How do you know they don't listen to him? Sorry, I skipped. How do you know you don't do that? So again, tzedek, you don't play with the midos because someone's going to come to cheat. It says in the pasuk is lo yelecha beveischo eifo veifo. Don't have two different types of measurements, cheating purposes. So you know lo yelecha beveischo. You will not have anything now. Someone will become poor. Matam shumevo veifo, you cheats with the midos. You won't have money in your pocket. Because again, the different types of scales. If you have Even Shleim, you have the correct weight, no cheating, yelecha, then you will have. If it's Sheva Tzedek, yelecha, you will have. Once you're dashing, the Pasuk Shah Pasuk is don't have these weights, you have these weights. But the drasha is you won't have money and you will have money. So the more Torah Rabbanan, you have law, you're not law. Well, let's go without the parentheses. Yelecha melamed shema'amidim agamadim lamidos ve'ima'amidim agardamin l'shorim. What's agardamin? Agardamin, as the Rashbam explains, is you have someone who is responsible to make sure that there won't be any further shit going on. So you have agamadim lamidos, and to make sure people don't measure it. But not shari. What's shari? Shari means that you're giving a different amount. A person changes the value. He starts selling for a different amount. So if let's say you buy for $5, you buy one pound, and he's doing it by $5 only 3/4 of a pound. So you don't have to do Hamagamadin to that. Why not? So as Ram explains, in the right side of the page, Because the Bazar Koch, in other words, this is called the equilibrium of economy, of economics. What's going to happen? Some guy sells it for more expensive, so people won't buy from him. So I don't want to have someone who's we don't need any people to guard that. Says the Gemara, in the base at Nasi, they did go and do a Gamadim for both, and they did do it. Omar Shmuel Karno, so Shmuel told Karno, Puk Tanilu, go teach them. Ma'amidim agamadim lamidois, ve'im ma'amidim agamadim l'shor. No, you do it for me, it's not for sure. Nofak Dorish Luz, he went in Darshan. Ma'amidim agamadim bein lamidois, bein l'shorim. So he disagreed. You do it for both. After he said, why, and he was explaining more why he did it. But they felt that you have to do it for both. What is your name? Karna. His name is Karna. Lashon horn. So a horn will grow in his eye. Someone nafkali Karna beini. That's exactly what happened. A horn grew in his eye. There's another gear, so loy nafkali Karna beini. It did not grow in his eye. And the problem is because the Gemara in Shabbos brings, there was another reason why Karna had a horn growing in his eye. So the Rambam says, how they had both of them, they caused him to grow a horn in his eye. According to this case, he did something right. You came out, so what is the reason Karna said they did it? You do it, what happens? Says the Rambam, these tricksters, they want to sell for more, what do? They wait for everybody else to sell. And then, once everything is sold, they come and they sell for a higher price. In other words, when there's a lack of a supply, then they go and they do it. And that's why we have to make sure that there's guards, that people should not overcharge and change the shot. A person goes and has a taino of a litra. He says, I want to go and give a litra. So then, we'll try to do the Zoom over here. Give me a second. Here we are. So, the Gemara says, Minayin, the what? He's asking for a litra, shoikel a litra. He gives him the weight that he's asking for, right? In other words, the litra is the type of scale, type of measurement that they had. Someone says, I want to buy a litra, give him a litra. Chatzi litra, he wants to have a half a litra, shekel chatzi litra, so he gives half a litra. Revia litra, shekel revia litra. So you give him the measurement he wants. My kalash wants a chiddush. Meaning the type of weights that we do are only the litra, half and a quarter, and nothing else. Look at Losh Rashbam. Second wide line. They were mitzakin midos until here, and not more. Less than that, you use coins. I don't use measurements. We say, no, let me make a new measurement. You don't listen to him. Why? Maybe someone's going to come and say, you know what? This is a revia, but truly it's a different measurement. So either we measure only the ones everybody knows. We don't want any Ramoim to come in and to cause, we have a certain midas, that's what we use, and that's it. Something more Torah, really, this whole daf is talking about the different nikudos that we have regarding the measurements to make sure that people are not cheating. This is the 3/4 of litra. Don't make 3/4. He wants a measurement of 3/4 of a litra. Don't give him a quarter, and a quarter. Give him what? A full litra. Meaning, he takes a weight, because how does it work? You put in a scale, you take the weight of a litra. He wants only 3/4. So what do? You put a quarter of a litra on the other side, plus the meat. And when it weighs together, then you know you have 3/4 of a litra. That's what you do it. You don't do quarter. Why? Because you do it multiple times, the buyer loses. As Rashbam explains, look at Loyam and Loyam Melashkor Liachas Achas, Kol Rivia B'Fenitzoy, Atzoi, She'iev Sholo Shalishkol Berevach Umavsid. She'iev Shal L'Tzamtzem. It's hard to be mitzamtzem when you do it 3 times in a quarter. Do it in one time, you do a more correct measurement. How the question asks the litra? What's 10 litra? Don't do one vechria, and then you do the achra that we mentioned in the Mishnah that you give him a little more in the weight. And that's according to Toys, that's what we mentioned in the previous daf. That the din of doing achra is in a measurement of 10 litra. Because you need to have a certain amount to do the lichot. If you do too much, too less, so then the buyer or the seller will lose or gain from it. So the more now, Torah Nefesh Muznaim Tluyabov. So the Muznaim is the scale. The scale needs to be in the air, and you need to have enough room for the scale to be able to tilt until the top and until the bottom. So says the Gemara, what is exactly? And the Gemara is going to explain in a moment which Muznaim we're referring to. Nefesh Muznaim Tluyabov, it's hanged in the air. Gimel Tfachim, 3 Tfachim from the ceiling. Ve'gvoya min haaretz shlosh Tfachim. It's above the ground 3 Tfachim. Ve'kana umatne shelo 12 Tfachim. The kana umatne, what is it? That is the how do you call it? I can't hear it. You're in mute.
Beam.
Huh? The beam?
There's a beam that goes...
Yeah, the beam. In other words, that beam that is the actual scale. That is the kohen measure. The way the Rashbam explains is, when I'm talking about the measure, there's 2 things over here. Is the actual beam, and then you have the ropes that are hanging from the beam. That's where you put the scales on. So we're talking about this whole thing, both of them. It says, again, you have given 12 the kanu mean the shalosh tevas tvachim. It's 12 tvachim. What is 12 tvachim? According to the Rashbam, is the beam in the middle, plus the 2 ropes that hold it on. If you look at the Rashbam says, you base tvachim, that's the beginning of the line, dalat tvachim akone. The kone itself, the beam is dalat tvachim. V'arba tvachim kol echad min hachavolim tluyois b'shnei rosh hakone. 4 tvachim go to each side of the ropes. That's 12 tvachim. So the Ritva asks the Rashbam, if that's the case, why do we need to have a 3 tvachim high from the ceiling? How does it work? The scales hang from the ceiling. We say it needs to be a 3 tvachim distance from the ceiling. Right? It's be 3 tvachim distance. So it needs to be 3 tvachim distance, and I have a beam in the middle. What's the size of the beam, said the Rashbam? 4 tvachim. So if the 4 tvachim is the size of the beam, the rope comes in the middle, how much do you have for each side? 2 tvachim to each side. So why do I need to be away from the ceiling 3 tvachim if the distance of the kon is only 2 tvachim? Even if it goes straight up, it won't reach the ceiling even by 2 tvachim. That's what the Ritva asks the Rashbam. And therefore the Ritva understands that we're talking about that the entire beam is 12 tvachim. Not that the beam is 4 and has things. The beam is 12 tvachim. And then you have 6 tvachim to each side. And then we say that when it tilts up, you want to have at least, it should be able to go up at least half the distance, which is 3 tvachim. So, the Chuluk is in the Rishayah to understand exactly the tzura of this thing. So, the Gemara says again, so number 9 is 3 tvachim from the ceiling, at least 3 tvachim from the ground. The Kohen means the Shlosh Tevas HaTvachim, that's a size. That's a regular Muznaim. That's one Muznaim. The Gemara doesn't say which Muznaim is. The Gemara is going to address it in a moment. V'shel Samarim v'shel Zagogim. So Samarim is wool. Zagogim is glass. Tluya ba'alvir shnei tvachim. That's 2 tvachim away from the ceiling, from the ground. From the ceiling to tvachim, very hard shnei tvachim. The konomitash not that tvachim. Then it's 9 tvachim. That is the konomita as a kurtu hashbam. There will be 3 and 3 for each rope. That is for wool and glass. V'shel chenvoni v'shel balabais. What are you talking about? For the storekeeper. And the balabais, his own balabais, tluy baretz tefach. That's only tefach. The perimeter is tefach. The konomita is lo shisha tefachim. So the scale in the middle is 6 tefachim. So it's a similar. According to the Rashbam, 6 tefachim means it's only 2 tefachim in the middle, and that actually works well, which is 1 tefach to each side. V'shel turtoni. The Turtoni is the Rashbam sells for silver and gold. If you measure silver and gold, a much less quantity. So it's 3 figures from the roof. The I don't know exactly the measurement. It's very, very small, so I don't know exactly the size of the beam. So we went and spoke about different scales of wool. We spoke about of the glass, and we spoke about the chinvon, the balabais, and the gold and the silver. So something more like what is the first case? The first case when I'm saying muznayim, what is it talking about? We mentioned all the different merchandise that you make. Wait, says the Gemara on the base. Omar Papa di gume. What's the gume? Or meaning it's the muznayim, the scale that you weigh with it, steel, metal. So that's the biggest one, because when you weigh metal, that's a very big one. So the Gemara mani brapatish keder shomru lian isuron kach omru linyan tumoso. The same thing you have by Yisur, that if it's done that way, you're not allowed to weigh it unless you do it this way. This is the way the scale has to be. So also by tumo, it doesn't receive tumo if it's not made that way, because it's not a kli. So the Gemara, my kamash, what's a chiddush? Tanino. It says that the chut is a tefach. As we said before, that it's a tefach. So it says clearly in the Mishnah, in Kalim, it says clearly that's a tefach. It says the Gemara, it doesn't say there what's the size of the beam and the ropes. So that's what I'm telling you over here, also the size of the beam and the ropes. Says the Gemara, Ein oisim mishkoy shel bots, but veloy shel aver. These are different types of metal. Talking about, maybe I'll read the translation over here, but it's talking about lead and a type of steel and gisturin, different types of metals. So you don't make the shkolos in these metals. And any other type of metal. You make it out of stone and glass. Why? Because the metal gets rubbed, and then the weight loses what it is. How do they translate pots, aver, and gisturin?
One is tin, lead, and alloy.
Okay.
They're different metals.
Different metals, yeah. Now, what's a machak? The machak is when you take, once you fill up the midah, you need to go and straighten it up to smooth it up. So you use a little piece to come and smooth it up. That's called the machak. The machak is moichik, can make it straight. Don't use the machak of glass, made out of gourd. Reshu kal. What does it mean is kal? It's not so strong. It's soft. So it doesn't go in strong enough into it to clear it up. Don't make it out of metal. It's too heavy. It'll cut off too much. Make it out of the wood of olive, nuts, different types of wood, because they're the ones that are going to make the exact measurement. So the Gemara, you don't make that machak that shapes it up. Now you don't make it one side thick and one side narrow. And don't do mechik in one shot. In other words, you do it slowly. If you do it in one shot, so then it's bad for the moicher, because then you don't clear it up so clearly. So the buyer is getting more than what he's supposed to get. Don't do too slow. Do in small measurements. You do it. There's a certain way to do it, to clear it up in a way that is actually measured. Says the Gemara now. Al kulon omar b'chum and all these things that we spoke about measurements and how you have to be careful about it. Says b'chum zakai oyli im oymar oyli im loy oymar. I don't know if to talk about it, to say or not to say. In other words, should I come up and tell everybody that you're not allowed to do this, or I should not say? If I say, maybe the people that are ramoim are going to come, they're going to learn from me. You say, oh, it's such a good idea. How am I going to cheat? Oh, the rabbi said don't use a machak made out of gourd. I'll use machak made out of gourd. So then they'll get more. I'm going to learn the tricks. It's like they say, the thieves when they go to jail, they become smart, they know how to steal better. If I start giving them ideas, how to steal. If I don't say anything, so then they're going to say, okay, the Chachamim don't know, we can cheat, they don't understand this. In other words, the Ramah, they already know how to do it. If you say this, people say, they know our tricks, we can't really fool them. It says in Moyibailu, Omro, or Lorem. What's Lamaisa? Did he say or not? He did say. Why did he say it? Based on the following pasuk. Ki shoyim darech Hashem, v'tzadikim yechubam, u'poishlim mikosh lubam. The drachim of Hashem are straight. Torah is straight. Now, people can use the Torah to come and learn what to do right, or people can use the Torah and to misuse it. The poishlim mikosh lubam, they will use the Torah to fall in it. So what was the shot? I don't want to come and give them away. I don't want to teach people what to do, because maybe the Ramoim will learn from it. If they learn from it, so that's part of the cheshbon, that they have to be punished. The Poishlim will use the Darkei Hashem to fall and not to be successful. That's all that it says in the pasuk. Do not do ovel in all these different types of measurements. So explain one. Measuring land. If you have two people, they have to split a land. Don't come and measure for one in the summer, for one in the winter. Why will the winter change in the summer? So says the Rashbam brings over here. Why? Look at the first wide line in the Rashbam. Explanation number one is the rope, the measurement rope, shrinks in summer than in winter. So if I measure with the measuring rope, it won't have the same measurement in the summer and the winter. During the winter, the land shrinks. During the winter, it cracks open. So the land is a little wider. So you can't do the measurement. Two people, when divide the land, can't measure to both in the same way. The Mishkol, both have to be measured in the same time of the year. Don't put the weights into salt, because then it makes the weights have a different weight. It makes them heavier. Mesoyo is when you use when you're measuring for wine. So if I go ahead and I pour the wine and I boil it, the foam that comes up fills up the kli. And and what does it do? The ratiach here, it doesn't mean usually to boil it. It means that you just pour it very strongly. So it brings foam up. Then you're filling up the kli with foam and not with wine. The Kaluchim says in this. What is Mesoyo? Because it says, what's Mesuro? Mesuro is a certain type of measurement. And we say like this. Mesuro. What is Mesuro? Is 1 out of 36 of a look. The Torah is careful that don't go and make a trick out of it. And equals a whole list of measurements. They're larger than this piece. The more learns Kavachimer to it. Kavachimer le'im, which is 12 look. V'chatzim, v'shlishasim, v'revisim, v'luk, v'chatziluk, v'revisiluk, v'chatzim tumon, v'uchla. Right? Different measurements. The Rashbam goes on to say, so even with the him is 12 look, chatzim is 6 look, shlishasim is 3 look, revisim is 4 look, revisim is 3 look, lug is 1, chatziluk is half a look, and revis lug is of course a quarter. And then chatzit tumon, says the Rashbam, is shmini sakav, which is meaning chatzit tumon will be according to that quarter of lug. Says that according to the Rashbam, it's a little bit of a problem, which maybe it's an eighth of a lug, and then it goes uchla. We'll more explain in a moment. So it's interesting why it says that. More says if such a small measurement, you chayav, so kol shke bigger measurements. Give a whole list of all the measurements. Says the Gemara, Omar Yudo, Omar Rav, Osur Odom Shiyashem Mide Chaseiri Yaseir B'Tel Beiser. Person should not have a measurement in his house, which is not the right size. Even if right now this measurement, which is misused, he's using it as a place to urinate in it. It's a main place. Use it for In other words, you're not going to measure with it. You never know. Sometimes people will be stuck. He'll clean it up, use that as a measurement, and he will trick somebody. It's only a place where you don't have chesem. Chesem means it's like a kashrus. If someone comes in and gives a signature, everything is okay. There's no problem to have a wrong measurement because nobody's going to use it without having the signature, which is okay. There's no people that go ahead to go and check it out. If you are in a place where people are the shluchim of the king go around and are checking, no, we don't rely on the mehandasi of the king, on the inspectors. Sometimes the benesh rashos, there's no time, and they'll come and use it, and nobody will come and check it out. Should not have in his house a mido, which is not the right mido, even if it's dirty. Now, different measurements again. Seyo, tirkov, chatzi tirkov, kav, chatzi kav, v'roiva, v'toimen, v'chatzi toimen. We'll get back to that in a moment. And then avtzaikam dal v'uchlo. And that's the measurements they should do, which is the kav measurements. V'kami uchlo, echod. You know what? I want to start this for the next daf because it goes into the next daf. So let's stop over here and start the next daf from the Tani Namiach. Seder. So you can stay on the Zoom. Hold on a second.